And joining us on the news at this time is Dr. Olushola Oni, the Yoruba Party in the UK MP candidate for Peckham constituency. It's good to have you on the show, Dr. Oni. Let's get started, right? The Yoruba Party in the UK promises fresh ideas for the electorate, but could you share some of these innovative plans with us?
Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me. The idea of having a Yoruba Party is because we needed a direct voice. Although Nigerians are in the mainstream parties, these are, if you like, indirect representation. What we offer as the Yoruba Party is direct representation. We know what is wrong, we know what we need, and it is only us that can deal with what we need. That's the whole basis of having a Yoruba Party that represents us directly. Take, for example, the question of housing. What happens here is that houses are purchased or bought or taken from people, and then the land sold to developers who then build houses that the people who used to live in Peckham could no longer live there because the prices are too high, they cannot buy, they cannot rent. In effect, they are being pushed out of Peckham to go elsewhere. Again, we have a problem of crime, but we have no police station. And Peckham is such a huge constituency that it's almost immoral not to have a police station, not to have police on the beat, either on their feet or riding bikes. So these are the sort of problems that we have as a community that we need to deal with. These are the sort of things that the mainstream cannot deal with. One of the things that I usually point out is this. If you look at what has been the problem for the last 50 years, whether you talk about immigration, the economy, the National Health Service, or climate change, the problem has not changed at all. And yet we've had Labour, we've had conservative parties. What that tells us is that they are incapable intellectually to deal with these problems.
Now,
and that new ideas are required.
Dr. Oni, we're going to come to that about the two parties, which is Labour and Tory parties. But I want to quickly touch on something, right? When someone hears Yoruba party, what comes to mind is literally Yoruba people. And your party's mission is to amplify the Yoruba voice in British politics. Does this focus solely on the Yoruba community? And what does this mean when it comes to inclusivity of all UK citizens?
Okay. If you've had a copy of our manifesto, which is this, the pledge is this, and I'll read it to you. I said, I shall fight for the welfare of all Black people. Many have the Yoruba heritage from millions forcibly shipped in the transatlantic slavery from Yoruba homeland to Brazil, West Indies, Cuba, UK, USA, etc. I also said, I shall fight for the welfare of all white people. We live in the same UK bubble. It is not possible to simply look after the Yoruba as a group alone. The MP is MP for everybody. You look after everyone. And in a lot of the problems that I was describing, like the housing, like the police, it affects everyone. It doesn't just affect the Yoruba. But what we require as Yoruba people is that we actually need our own voice. We need something that can energize us, that can encourage us from our docility, because we are docile in this country.
Now, Doctor,
we accept almost. Say that again. Sorry.
We're pressed for time, right? But you raised your manifesto just then, and I just want to point some things on there. So your manifesto suggests that the Labour and Tory parties are out of touch. But your party has the answers, and that's what you said earlier on in your first submission. Now, could you elaborate on what sets your solutions apart? Because we're pressed for time.
Oh, intellectually, we are better because, for example, on the economy, the two main parties only offer you tax and spend. They want to take your money, they want to spend it. It never occurs to them that they need to generate wealth. So part of the things that we are suggesting as a party intellectually is that if you are going to spend money, you need to generate wealth. And we are making a number of suggestions on how to generate wealth linked to climate change, so that at the same time as you are generating wealth, you are also dealing with climate change, which also means that those of us in Africa, for example, we can continue to develop rather than being hampered by this idea of zero sum that people, that the developed countries are always touting about. In order for us to develop, there has to be a different attitude to climate change, for example. So that's the sort of thing we are putting across, that we have intellectual solutions to a lot of these problems, that the main parties are so stale, they are so engrossed in their in the endless infantile debate between themselves, that they haven't had any time intellectually to deal with what the problems are. This is where we come in, that we offer solutions that are based on thinking, new ideas.
Right. Well, Dr. Oni, I have to say thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you for doing this with us.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.